Do mitochondria break down when you have too much glucose in a healthy non-diabetic? The glucose goddess, she says that your mitochondria, which are the powerhouses of cells, basically they use a process called cellular respiration to convert nutrients such as glucose and fatty acids into a form of energy called ATP, which is adenosine triphosphate, which is a form of energy release that all living animals, including humans, use to convert energy to movement. These mitochondrial cells, the cells have lower energy demands than in the skin cells, but they have high energy demands in muscle cells. And an average human cell contains around several thousand mitochondria. So therefore the total number of mitochondria in the body can range from tens of trillions to hundreds of trillions. They're just responsible for producing energy needed to power cellular processes in the body. In healthy, non-obese, non-diabetic people, the body's mechanisms for regulating blood glucose levels are effective at preventing excessive glucose from accumulating in the bloodstream. Therefore, under normal conditions, the mitochondria in healthy people aren't exposed to levels of glucose that are high enough to cause significant damage to the mitochondria, and therefore make them dysfunctional and change the energy demand in muscle cells, and also not work effectively with cellular respiration and converting nutrients to glucose and fatty acids. Is there any evidence to suggest that you must eat different foods in a meal in a certain order to avoid a glucose spike? So the glucose goddess said that you've got to eat, I think, carbs first, then wait half an hour, then eat everything else, which is absolutely stupid, because there's very weak evidence that you have to eat. Oh, that's right, she said you had to eat carbs last in a mixed meal. Okay, is there anything wrong with drinking fruit juice? Is it bad for you? No, I live off 1 to 2 litres of fruit juice a day, orange juice mainly. I don't eat, my bowel doesn't work, I have bowel failure, I have something called chronic intestinal pseudo-obstruction. The nerves of my bowel do not work. I have not eaten food at all since 2000 and barely eaten any food since 2009. Had some rice in 2012, ended up in hospital. I've had 55 bowel obstructions after I had half my large bowel removed because my bowel was twisting. I was born with my bowel in the wrong place. I live off fruit juice. That's where I get the vast majority of my calories from. Or you can go on my website and see blood tests back to 2018. I have blood tests going all the way back to 2009. You can see my testosterone levels, all my blood lipid levels. It's all my blood glucose levels, all completely normal. So not particularly fruit juice is bad for you. It can be used as part of a healthy balanced diet. It contains vitamins and minerals and other important nutrients for overall health. However, consume it in moderation. If you're a normal person and you eat, unlike me, I don't eat, so I consume 700% of the recommended daily allowance of glucose or sugar, and I still haven't died yet, and I don't have all my blood work is completely normal. However, it can rot your teeth because it's very high in acid, and the acidic fruit juices, it's best to drink them with a straw that goes to the back of your mouth so that you're not dousing your teeth in acid from the fruit juices. The main issue with fruit juice is it lacks fibre, and fibre is found in whole fruit. So fibre is important for maintaining healthy digestion. Some evidence to show that it reduces colon cancer. It slows the absorption of sugar into the bloodstream, which means eating fruit makes you feel fuller. Does drinking vinegar before having glucose or a high carb meal have any health benefit? Glucose goddess nutjob thinks that it does. Drinking vinegar is disgusting and it's an absolutely stupid idea. Studies suggest drinking vinegar before a high carb meal can reduce blood sugar spikes. Again, you don't need it if you don't have diabetes. If you've got diabetes, you've got more important things to worry about than drinking vinegar. The acid in vinegar is thought to slow the absorption of sugar into the bloodstream. Alright, we're getting there. Do calf raises reduce glucose spikes? Glucose goddess seems to think it does. Sitting at a chair doing calf raises, which aren't really calf raises, they're S.O.S raises. Your calf muscle crosses the knee joint and the ankle joint. S.O.S doesn't, so calf raises standing would be better, but only because you're working your calves. There's no scientific evidence that calf raises specifically reduce glucose spikes. That's a load of BS. However, regular exercise improves insulin sensitivity, and regulates and lowers blood sugar levels. Exercise, particularly resistance training, so strength training, is beneficial for all people, but particularly diabetic and insulin resistant people. Okay, is resistance training the best way to improve insulin sensitivity? In a nutshell, yes, it is. Insulin sensitivity refers to the ability of the cells in the body to respond to the hormone insulin and take up glucose from the bloodstream. So when insulin is released by the pancreas after a meal, it signals cells to take up glucose for energy for storage. So with people with good insulin sensitivity, meaning that the insulin is very sensitive to attaching to glucose molecules in your blood, it leads to stable blood glucose levels. And in contrast, people with poor insulin sensitivity, so insulin resistance, have cells that don't respond well to insulin because insulin gets blocked by fatty acids in the bloodstream, and this leads to an elevated level of blood glucose levels and an increased risk of developing type 2 diabetes. Improving insulin sensitivity through lifestyle intervention such as exercise and healthy diet is the best way to manage and prevent type 2 diabetes and metabolic disorders. So resistance training, also known as strength training, is the most effective way to improve insulin sensitivity. This is because strength training helps to build muscle mass and improves muscle function, which then increases glucose uptake by the muscles, and the muscles through movement utilizes the glucose in the body. Multiple studies have shown that resistance training improves insulin sensitivity and glucose control in type 2 diabetics and insulin resistance patients. So the best thing you can do if you have type 2 diabetes or if you're getting insulin resistance is to start working out with weights as soon as possible and do as much of it as possible. 1, 2, 3, 4 times a week. It would be brilliant. Add muscle to your frame and watch your type 2 diabetes improve. In addition to improving insulin sensitivity, resistance training can also help to reduce body fat and make you look better and improve your overall health and fitness. So it's important to note that other physical activity such as running and walking and cycling can also help improve insulin sensitivity and overall health, but the best thing to do is increase your muscle mass. Why is strength training the best way to improve insulin sensitivity? It's because strength training improves insulin sensitivity because you develop more muscle mass and improve muscle function. So you have your muscle fibers are covered in insulin receptors, and the insulin is released from the pancreas and attaches to the glucose molecules in your blood and takes them to various parts of your body, including your muscle fibers, where you have the insulin receptors where they take the glucose, and then your muscles then use the glucose to use as energy to work hard and build muscle. And the more muscle you develop, the more sensitive you get to insulin receptors, and the more receptors you get on your muscle fibers. Insulin molecules become more effective at taking glucose from your blood to your muscles, lowering your blood glucose levels, which I've just basically said. Strength training can increase the number of insulin receptors on the muscle cells, which I've just said, and it can improve insulin signaling. sending glucose to the muscles to be used to further enhance insulin sensitivity. Strength training can also increase your metabolism, reduce your body fat levels, increase your body composition, so the amount of muscle you have in comparison to the amount of fat you have on your body. Yeah, aerobic exercise is also good, but strength training is the best. And that's the end of the lecture and presentation on debunking the glucose goddess's complete and utter crap charlatan advice on Steve Bartlett podcast. I hope you enjoyed it. I'll be doing more of these, and we've got to keep debunking the nonsense, otherwise the general public are going to end up not knowing their arse from their elbow.